microphone away. We don't have Sacco to pick on anymore, so we have to find ways now to mess with Sean since he's kind of taken over Sacco's chair. He may be finding himself in a cage soon as well. For some reason, I don't think there's going to be a free Sean campaign, just because you were so oppressive to Sacco, and given the current political climate, it would serve you right.
I had it coming, really.
God, did you really just activate your microphone over there?
Yes.
How do you do that sorcery? I really need to stop being the content guy.
Magic.
And try being the tech guy.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You cannot sit over there for the show. Every time you do that, it throws the entire mojo off.
Well, you're going to have to deal with it for a few minutes anyways.
No. Are you going to sing our intro music?
Psst, 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 and you're live. Go ahead.
That's not okay.
It's not okay?
That's not okay. Do you even have the chat room up?
I'm trying to get it all going right now.
At your age, it's kind of difficult to get up sometimes. I know. I get it.
Should be up in 35 minutes. Go to the doctor. As long as the chat room's not up for more than 4 hours, we're okay. Oh, more than 4 hours. I'm calling my friends and bragging.
Yeah, you are. You're throwing a party.
Who would ever complain about that? Seriously, I don't care what the...
Guys who are over 65 and tired, Sean. That's fun at 21, 22, 23 years old. It's tiring after 40. You know this.
Not after 40. I don't know that yet. I don't know that yet.
Are you younger than me?
Uh-huh.
Damn it, you don't look it. Anyways, thank you all for joining us tonight.
I don't look it, I'll admit that.
What's new in your life, friend?
Nothing.
What do you mean nothing?
Hello, mine. What's new with you?
I don't know. I got a Momo cycle.
Oh, you did?
I did. You know this.
I was trying to play it up for the show.
I know, but yes, I did.
I was show fizzing again.
I apologize. It's black. Now, somebody told me once you ride black, you never go back.
And
it's true. I would never want like a white motorcycle or a blue motorcycle I like my black thing vibrating between my legs. I think it's tremendous. Not you, Ken McClintock, the exceptional conservative. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about my motorcycle. People are so perverted. I don't mean you people in the same sense Sean would mean you people, Ken, so I apologize for that.
What do you mean you people?
No, what do you mean you people? I mean it as in our listeners.
I can't help myself. I just can't help myself sometimes. It's really what it comes down to, and I'll be 100% honest with everyone.
No, you won't. Anytime somebody says that, they're full of garbage.
Let me be honest for a second.
Listen, I'm going to... Okay, so here's the truth.
So the reason is... Oh, wow, is it really 8:05 already? Oh, we're going to move on. I still have people to this day who get upset how you portray me when it comes to that sort of thing. To this day.
But they're upset because it's a public face, but they know the real you and that I'm being honest. They're not upset with me because I'm a liar. They're upset with me because I'm doing it in a public way.
Well, it's almost like,
You're the blatant bigot, Sean. You just gotta own it.
Sean Lewis, the blatant bigot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a shirt.
We need to get you a shirt. That's how you need to sign your next autograph next time we go to Vegas.
Oh man. So
I was giving some thought to our idea that we had about making a modern Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
But having it complete reverse racism.
Yes.
The more I think about this idea, the more I think it's genius.
I don't disagrure with you.
Because it could be just as racist,
yeah,
but on the other side, and nobody would bitch it. Right?
Right!
The sheriff is a cracker, bong!
Wow, this movie's just boring.
What'd he say?
They're not saying anything at all, infuriating.
Right! Right, oh, this must be the Republican convention.
Sorry about the up yours, cracker. Thank you for taking care of that evil Mongo.
Hey, you know that man is a crack... Oop. Sorry, wrong guy. Get over here.
Whoa. Come here. You know that man is a crack. Still to this day.
I think we're on to something.
To this day, one of the greatest movies of all time.
I don't know. I'm going back and forth between that one and Smokey and the Bandit. Still.
It's hard, right? Because you compare them next to each other, and it's two equal but very, very different
comedies.
Genius.
Yeah. Hey, boy, where's Sheriff Jones?
Easy with that boy crap, redneck. You're talking to the sheriff of Rockridge.
See? Very similar.
One of the best lines of that entire movie.
Which one?
Blazing Saddles.
Okay.
Is Bart, they said you was hung.
And they was right.
They was right.
And my favorite is when the exceptional one himself, Mr. McClintock, quoted that for us.
Ooh, Golf Dogs in the chat room saying One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is an excellent, is the best. It's up there. Don't get me wrong. It's a great movie.
And I think that's a biography about my ex-wife. What?
Which?
The first. Does it? Why do you have to be so damn hurtful?
You can't set that up. Do you have a movie name for all of them? I would love to hear them.
No, but we do have a guest in studio who I'm sure could come up with a few of them.
It's not often we have the honor of having
Nasty Nick with us.
Nasty Nick.
Yeah.
Here in the chat room. Lots changed since the last time we've seen.
It has.
Apparently, the entire technology of shaving has completely missed him.
Yeah, and so if you could picture this, picture a cross between Sasquatch, Chewbacca, the latest arrest photograph of what's his name from Christmas Story, Shitter's Full.
Oh, Randy Quaid.
Yes, the nearest Randy Quaid, and Bob Marley, but instead of on the head, it's in the beard.
Right.
And that's
the arms.
And the arms, and the pubic hair that's hanging out the bottom of the shorts, and that's
by his ankle,
which is weird, right? He has it kind of wrapped around there with duct tape, which is nice. Yeah. And hence the name Nasty Nick.
Nasty Nick. I just think it's funny that we have to replace one hairy guy with another.
So here, I have to tell you.
It's almost like Sokka walked out the door and showed up 30 years later.
Here's the best part. So Nasty Nick was very, very clean-shaven guy, and he just basically said, "Screw it," about a month ago. Right. I'm jumping off. I've had to do it for too long. Screw it. It's kind of. I think it's a social experiment. And here's what here's the deal. And I've witnessed this journey in bits and pieces with him. And he used to get smiled at by the cute girls and right, all clean and prim and proper. Now we walk into like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, like Patchouli Outlet, and
all the hippies.
Oh yeah, they are digging him big time. They're like, hey, let me rub my chest hair against yours. Like, it's bizarre. I bet our leg hair can stick like Velcro, and they say it all seductively. And he still cringes, which is hilarious.
Agador's in the chat room. He thinks that because he was being called Nasty Nick, he stopped shaving. It was the cart before the horse.
Yeah, but that was for a different reason. So, you know how we've talked about websites all around the barnyard,
anyways,
shitshow.net. Anyways,
it's 10 past.
It's 10 past. We got to move on to segments here.
And a special congratulations to Nick because he's just entering the fun part of his life now.
He is. He's recently retired. So hence not retarded. Retired.
Oh.
Yeah, different. You can't say his medical condition. We don't want to get sued. Our lawyers are busy enough. Okay. You start talking about HIPAA violations, he's going to get upset.
I didn't think it was catchy, but you said he just caught it, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So he's entered a new phase of his life, and he does a lot of work for us, kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He's like our clandestine kind of yeah.
Now, if you can actually get him sober,
right.
That's a lot of work.
He might actually shave.
One day he's He's going to wake up sober and be like, "What the hell happened?"
What happened to me? Why didn't you guys shave me? We're like, we did.
You go out of it for 2 days and this happened?
Right.
It's 9 months.
You think you're Steven Seagal from whatever that movie was where you wake up with? Yeah, come on.
From the coma?
Yeah.
Hard to kill.
Hard to kill.
Yes. Here's your credit card bill for the last 9 months. Whiskey, 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 Scar, whiskey, 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 McDonald's whiskey, whiskey, whiskey. Son of a... Did you guys let me do this? It seemed like a good idea at the time.
You were having fun. Who were we to argue?
There was always a smile on your face. 24/7. Who was I to say no? I even bailed you out because of it. Anyhow.
All right. We got to get to topics.
Moving along.
So I can't read. You will not let me read the title of this segment.
No, you may not.
So I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to read it because I agreed I wouldn't read it. So if I don't look at the board when I say this, is that right?
No.
Okay. So I can't understand normal thinking ant. What? Is that okay?
Oh, that's cute.
That's okay, right?
That's good. Go ahead.
Okay, so there's this aunt who can't understand normal thinking. And she sued her nephew, who's 8 years old. Was 8 years old at the time of this incident. He's 12 now. This 8-year-old demon kid, on his birthday, 8 years old, jumped into her arms, said I love you for a big hug.
What a jerk.
What a creep. He was so reckless that she wasn't expecting it. She fell back. She broke her wrist. Okay. This demon child's mom died last year.
Oh, that's a shame.
And this aunt sued him for $127,000.
I'm sorry, ¿Qué pasó?
Yeah, she sued him for $127,000.
So,
let me get this straight.
Yeah, get it straight. Go. Hang on. Do you want to read what the alleged was?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. The kid, quote, should have known better.
At 8 years old.
We have rules for children. He was not careful. He was unsafe. Yeah, she says, all of a sudden he was in the air. I had to catch him, and we tumbled onto the ground. I remember him shouting, Auntie Jen, I love you. And there he was flying at me. What a horrible kid. Clearly he shouldn't watch wrestling.
Is she more than 8 feet tall?
No.
And here's where I'm going.
Hang on. Hang on, it gets better, because this was a surprise Sean segment. You haven't seen this story before. She wrecked her social life
I'm sorry.
by making it, quote, difficult to hold her hors d'oeuvres plate.
What a bitch!
Right? And you wouldn't let me say the word. Can I say it now?
Oh. Mary, if anyone else, I don't care. Mary's in the chat room. Anyone else, I don't
Mary,
care. Mary,
unplug your headset for a moment.
No. Anyone else, I don't care. Mary's in our chat.
I love Mary. Mary's a sweetheart.
I
Okay.
can't let this happen.
But she can't understand normal thinking, and that's an acronym.
Not Mary, this aunt.
No, the aunt. Mary's a sweetheart. We love Mary.
Absolutely.
The jury told her no. The jury found for the kid.
No way.
This kid was in court wondering like what was going on. He didn't look like he understood, obviously. And the aunt says, well, it was supposed to be just a simple homeowner's insurance claim. And when they offered me $1, I had no choice but to sue him. Yes.
I don't understand for the life of me.
Uh-huh.
First of all, was she was trying to pull an insurance scam, obviously. She went to the aunt, whoever, and said, "Hey, he broke my wrist. I'm just gonna sue your insurance and get a couple $1,000. Not a big deal.
But then when they said, here's $1.
Here's $1 because you're an airhead moron.
And this is your friggin' nephew
Who
who
the
wanted
hell?
to give you a hug.
And then she waits till the mother dies and sues her now 12-year-old nephew who just lost his friggin' mother.
To be fair, I don't know when the suit was filed, but it doesn't matter.
It does
because
not
after
matter.
the kid loses his mom, you'd think she'd say, hey, I'm going to pull the suit. Right?
Yes. It doesn't... first of all, the fact that she's doing it all is retarded.
You can't say that. Oh, wait, yes, you can say that. We still have the First Amendment here in this country for now.
And I don't mean that in a belittling way. But second of all, That's your flesh and blood.
Yeah. We have rules for children.
And
He was not careful. He was unsafe.
we have rules for
that was
children.
that was what the lawyer said.
I think we should have rules for people like her.
I think we should have rules for dirtbag lawyers.
This is right. This is twofold.
Because there's a dirtbag lawyer that took this case.
Right.
Some scumbag piece of garbage attorney said, "Oh yeah, the homeowner's insurance won't pay. Let's sue your nephew. Oh yeah, I think we've got great jury appeal. Oh, you poor thing, you couldn't hold your hors d'oeuvres plate.
Oh, I want my 28%
I bet she could hold a big old penis
with her good hand.
with her good hand." Right. Wait, what?
Now, I want to go back to the initial part where
What?
she said she had to catch her nephew.
Yeah.
I want to know what he jumped off of that she felt that she had to endanger herself to save his life. And here's where I'm going with this.
Right.
I have a lot of nieces and nephews,
Right.
including my
Irish.
child of
Irish.
5. Right.
Right.
There's been plenty of times where they've gone to jump on me and I've sidestepped
Right.
to teach them a lesson.
And you've planted them into the floor. Recently you did that, I think,
I
right?
prefer to call it a spike.
Okay.
Because
I forgot what you called it. I always forget what you called it.
Always celebrate your victory.
Right.
The only time I would feel obligated to catch them
Is never.
if they're about to jump onto a spike or something ridiculous.
No, you wouldn't, because you're a jerk.
All right, listen. The only time would be if it was funnier for me to catch them and implant them on
Right.
something.
Exactly.
Right, I get
Thank
that
you.
now.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that is just tomfoolery. Second of all, I've been hurt by a couple of my nephews just playing games with kids. Never once did it cross my mind of, hey, you know what? I can get friggin' paid out of this.
Right.
Right? That's my sister. In this case, my sister's kids. I have 2 sisters. They're my nephew, flesh and blood.
Yeah.
I would never even think. Not even.
Right?
Oh, see? Agador just brought up the one time that I would catch them if they were bringing me a beer.
Oh, yeah. No. You grabbed the beer out of the hands as they fell face first.
Right, but
let's be honest. You wouldn't catch
by
the kid.
my-
Sorry,
By
Ag.
my action,
Uh-huh.
they would naturally slow down because I would grab their wrist and beer.
No, you wouldn't grab the wrist and beer.
I
I've seen you
separate-
grab a beer out of the. I've seen you grab a beer out of the hands of people at bars.
It was an old woman.
Yes, but either way,
She
you
was going to
didn't.
drop that.
But you did not have to touch the wrist at all. You were so skilled. I don't know how you lube the bottle the way you do.
That was the weird
Right.
part. That
You
was just
lube the bottle just right to where it just slides out of somebody's hands. You have this signature move. I've never seen anything like it before. Yeah, before I go drinking.
Signature move. It's called the bigot in the bar rooms.
The bigot in the bar rooms. No, that's when you stare at people that look different than you. Because you're a jerk.
Oh.
You're up.
The physicist.
Oh, yeah, you can read your title.
We're going to get to the debates and a couple other ones, but I want to talk a little bit about this physicist, Mr. Dyson. He's been a physicist since about 1958. I think he retired in 1994. And he is a lifelong Democrat. Still votes Democrat.
Still votes Democrat. Voted for Obama.
And wanted to point out that the president is completely wrong about global warming.
Hang on. Read the title, please. Read the. I do the board for a reason.
Physicist Freeman Dyson calls Obama dumbass, in essence.
In essence, yes. He stated in essence. That wasn't a direct quote that we've been able to verify.
I'm being asked for a link. I do have a link somewhere. I'll pull it up in a minute and post it in the chat room.
For the Obama thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
So during an interview, he essentially says that a lot of the models that they've been using to try to quote-unquote...
Like, not the girls. Like computer models, and not the kind on Ag's desktop. Because that brings viruses and all kinds of other bad stuff, like a bunch of pop-ups and stuff.
do you want me to continue?
Yeah, I apologize.
Are you just going to keep going?
No, I have to apologize. I'm on a roll tonight.
Okay, I just wanted
Maybe because
to...
I'm a motorcyclist now.
My father was in a wheelchair, and he was always on a roll, too. I don't think that's exactly...
Your father was just as hilarious as I am, I'm sure.
So, anywho, he essentially says the president chose the wrong side in the fight of, or in the argument of global warming. Said that there's more evidence out there that's being presented, a lot of the evidence that's being used in these arguments of global warming
Is bullshit.
is in fact erroneous and bullshit.
But not in essence.
In essence, he also says what we get out of the use of carbon and fossil fuels greatly outweighs the amount of damage that it does to the environment, despite what environmentalists often say.
Yeah, and he says there's a difference between pollution and the climate.
Yes.
And there are things with pollution that we can control and solve, but there are things with climate that cannot be solved.
Yes.
And the public doesn't understand that,
Exactly.
is what he says.
And I agree with that.
I agree with him
I think
also.
it's a very, very intelligent statement.
Look, this guy is clearly a wingnut lunatic, right-wing fringe guy, okay? This guy clearly got his degree from somewhere, I don't know.
Same place Nick buys his razors.
Yeah. In something. I mean, what is he, a theoretical physicist? Big deal. What is that, right? Like, what, he's a physicist in theory? Right? He's not really a physicist? Are you I'm a theoretical physicist.
I'm a theoretical weightlifter.
Right.
I theoretically could go lift a weight whenever I wanted.
Well, maybe we are making Obama's case right now for him. Oh, he's also a mathematician, though, so that's good. And I don't think it's the Common Core type, so maybe this guy actually knows what he was doing, because Common Core didn't exist way back when.
Here's the thing. He's not the first person to bring this up. And that's something, too, that I think a lot of people have overlooked greatly. There's been a lot of climatologists, physicists, and other educated people who've studied this field who've come out and said, hey, you know what? All of this is bunk. You need to look at these numbers. And then what happens is the scientific community essentially deems them insane and destroys them publicly.
And here's the best thing. He wrote a foreword to a report published by the Global Warming Policy Foundation. And he's asking for a reassessment of carbon dioxide. And here's a quote. He says, quote, "To any unprejudiced person reading this account, the facts should be obvious that the non-climatic effects of carbon dioxide as a sustainer of wildlife and crop plants are enormously beneficial. That the possibly harmful climatic effects of carbon dioxide have been greatly exaggerated, and that the benefits clearly outweigh the possible damage."
Right.
In essence, calling Obama a dumbass, like we said in the title of this segment.
Nobody's arguing with you that Obama's a dumbass.
That's not true. I bet there are several wingnuts out there that would argue that Obama is not, in fact, a dumbass.
Out of the chat room, Jersey Joe has a stat. 5,000 scientists worldwide now say climate change cult is wrong, and that $359 billion a year are spent globally trying to push the false narrative. It's about money. We've said this before with climate change.
And policy and control.
Right.
Because if you have some BS reason, now you have something that people can fear where you can implement regulations and taxes and bring about changes and that you want, right? It's nudge.
Oh, it's a
little nudge, right?
Get
a little bit of push here in this direction. Oh, let's get everybody. Now what? It's acceptable to have alternate energy sources, right?
Yep.
Now we've nudged you to a place where it's cool to have a green vehicle, right? A hybrid vehicle or something like that.
No, and it's almost required, right? You look at the controls that they've put on car companies.
Yeah. And they're actually worse to manufacture for the environment than the regular cars.
Yes.
And worse to dispose of.
Yes.
Hey, good job. And your goal to go green?
Nailing it.
You guys are nailing it. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, wait a second. Since it's worse for the environment, does that mean we should actually be pushing that agenda? Are we on the wrong side of this issue?
Wait. Crap. I don't know how to. I don't know. I need a ruling on that.
I know. I need a ruling on this too. If we are supporting the green movement for green vehicles because it causes more theoretical environmental damage, does that make us right-wingers or left-wingers?
Or is that how they're going to get us all on board?
Right.
Now everybody's for green. Us for different reasons.
For nefarious reasons.
Kind of like Trump.
But still,
it's kind of like Trump, right? Some people are for him for right reasons. Other people are for him just for the comedy show.
Right. Kind of like why we're for Biden.
Right. Exactly why we're for Biden. I want to be in charge of his campaign. For God's sake.
Oh God, so do I.
I want to volunteer.
We'd be drunk all the time.
If he runs, we have to volunteer to work one event for Biden. One event.
As the Sackheads?
As the Sackheads. I don't care if it's like a local election thing or something.
Just do great coverage of it.
We'll make our own signs. Biden 2016, we need the job.
No, we need the material.
We need the material.
We need the material.
Biden 2016, this shit's going to be a riot. Just like that.
Biden 2016, party at his house. With a picture of the White House on it.
Just one event we have to go. I don't care if it's in Iowa, we can drive somewhere. We have to go work just one event for Biden. I think that would be outstanding.
Oh, that would be hilarious. We need to go to an event he's at.
Oh.
Just I want an interview with him so bad.
And just throw cans of Schlitz up on stage.
And here's the no PBR.
He's a Schlitz guy, I bet.
PBR.
Nope,
Look,
Schlitz.
I love Joe Biden. He is so. I disagree with him on some of the issues, but first of all, I think he's like a real guy. You know?
Why would you want to be that guy?
Why would you want to be what guy?
Well, that has to be Joe, because nobody would want to be Joe for the mistakes that he makes. So of course,
I don't think he cares.
I know. That's what I'm saying, though. Nobody would willingly be like, I got to say something stupid or fill up this chick in the donut shop and get in trouble for it.
But not get in trouble for it because I'm Uncle Joe.
Right. No, he's just Uncle Joe. So that is who he is.
Yes.
He's not a refined, polished.
No, he can say, "Hey, Toots, you want to feel my cock?" And he'd just be like, "Okay."
And literally would be sitting there with the chicken in his hand. And everyone would be like, "That's Joe."
That's Joe. What do you think I meant? I would say something different. I wouldn't say cock. I mean, a cock is clearly a chicken. I mean, come on.
Yep, there you go, buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
You people are weird.
Perverts.
Meet me beyond the stage in 5. Vice President, that was the microphone. Oh, sorry. That's what I meant. Everyone behind the stage for 5 minutes. Keg stand on me.
We need him to be. I want him to run so bad.
I want him to run, and then when he does one of the school events, I'm looking at the time. When he does one of the school events, just pictures from him at a frat party. Later on, he just got sucked into it.
We need to Photoshop some pictures. We're up against a break. When we come back,
I don't know if we're going to have break music with Sacco.
You're just going to have to listen. Nasty Nick's going to sing.
You may hear a slight interruption in the audio for the next 2 minutes.
You might hear some Velcro. Don't ask. It's not important.
Oh, when we come back, the Middle East.
Middle East has a touch hole, and not in the Joe Biden way.
Middle East is on fire again, but we're going to talk about it anyways, right here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Back in a moment. Yeah. Nope. Conservative for Biden. Conservative radio show host for Biden.
break. I'm glad we got that one soundbite up and running. This is what happens when we lose the key to Sacco's cage, and we don't let him out.
It took me a while, but I was able to figure it out somehow.
And you didn't leave the stinking cell phone so that we can get in contact with him.
No, well, I was going to leave it, but last time, remember, you know how he likes to fling dung?
Is that the North Korean general? What?
Yes.
No?
That's exactly who it is, imagine.
We're not talking about North Korea right now.
Fling dung.
That's not him.
Wanted to discuss his nuclear program.
That's okay. Wrong segment. Sorry.
He started off the interview by saying hello.
Boyington.
North.
I'm sorry. You were saying?
I don't remember.
So the Middle East is almost on fire, literally.
Yeah, well, it is parts of it.
It is. So I'm wondering, and I named the segment Mideast is the touch hole for World War III.
Right.
Touch hole, obviously, not being the perverse way in which some of you may do it with your safe search off. You'll come up with very different results. Safe search on, it's actually the part of the canon where you what?
Yeah, just moving on.
You know what I'm talking about, which is weird. Yeah, you just cover right over that. Honey, do not check my history for touch hole. I was talking about cannons. No, not bombs, cannons. Totally different. So the Middle East, and I'm wondering seriously if we could actually have a World War III here based on what's going on, because things are scary over there right now, and we'll get to Syria here in a little bit next segment with you, just with everything going on there and all the recent involvements, and I don't want to showbiz anything on that segment. But this week, Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, again.
Where Palestine is deadly attacks within Israel. The Palestinian attacks, and they're not Palestine, they're not their own separate country. But Israel's military is now stepping up its response. They're deploying hundreds of troops into the region because of the growing violence. And some people are saying that this could be another uprising or potential revolution in that area. Secretary John Kerry says he's going to go visit the region. He says he's spoken with Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas. So I don't know if that means the Obama administration is going to come tell Netanyahu to relax and just kind of let Palestine do whatever it is they're going to do.
Right. Take the beating that's coming.
Right. Take the beating because you deserve it based on your response.
With the, right.
With the Arab Spring.
Years ago with the Arab Spring.
Yep.
So
we talked about that last week.
Right.
So, look, it's scary because we have this kicking off here, and it's now another focus. One of our former best friends, I don't know. I really hope the Israeli people don't put our president and link us all into
they're too
that.
Smart.
I pray that they are. I really do.
They know better.
Because our president obviously is no friend of Israel's, but the American people, by and large, are.
And we know that because he sent Kerry over there without James Taylor to sing for them. So that's how we know they're not our friends anymore.
They're not our friends anymore. So, scary, because now that's another area that we have to really watch and potentially be involved with, depending how this unfolds. I don't know what the hell John Kerry thinks he's going to do. I mean, these people have been warring for how long?
Well, look at the deal he did with Iran.
Oh, yeah, he nailed that. I forgot about that. Listen, BB, so the centrifuges that Iran's getting rid of, listen, we're going to give them to Palestine. Hear me out on this.
Hey, we know we're wicked welcome here right now. He's from Boston.
Oh, okay.
So we're wicked welcome here right now.
Wicked, okay.
Everything that we did for you with Iran. Now, here, listen to me for a second.
Right.
Leave Palestine alone. They're just like little kids right now.
We're going to give them some centrifuges to play with, right?
Right.
So that was fine. That's one of those secret pages that nobody knew about in the Iran deal. Oh, you didn't get that page, BB. Oh, don't worry about it. No, it'll be fine. They'll come. They'll simmer down here.
Got that deal.
Right. Yeah, they'll simmer down here in a minute. It's no big deal.
Yeah. So you're going to send him over?
Look, Hillary Clinton couldn't press forward the peace process. John Kerry sure as hell is not going to be able to push the Israeli-Palestinian peace process.
Sadly, I'd have more faith in Hillary than I would in
Kerry.
Frankenstein.
Yeah. Obama and Netanyahu still hate each other, and especially now with the Iran deal done.
Right.
What's this administration going to do?
Nothing. They have nothing. They're feckless. We know they're feckless.
Yes, and that's my point.
They can't do anything because they have nothing to give anymore. They have nothing to bargain with. The best part about it is Palestine, the militants, Palestine in general, are a giant, and Hamas to the other side of Israel, up in Lebanon, are proxies for Iran anyways. So you're sending John Kerry, the man who brokered this deal with Iran, over to the Middle East to broker a deal between Iran again, essentially, and Israel.
Right.
That's what this comes down to.
Yes. And not, hey, Palestine or Palestinian people, knock it off, or we're going to come over there and kick your ass with our allies Israel.
Right.
But
if Kerry showed up Kerry showed up with 20 tanks.
Israel, you shouldn't be so harsh. And here's the thing. Look, Senator Bob Menendez, who's a Democrat out of New Jersey, actually came out saying he stands behind Israel.
Right.
Which is huge. Look, you have some Democrats now that are saying, hey, enough is enough. We need a stronger response from this administration. And in a statement from Senator Menendez, he says, quote, I stand behind Israel's fundamental right to defend itself and its people from violence and terror. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and his government have an obligation to stop these attacks, to cease the harsh rhetoric that incites them, and to negotiate in good faith for a peaceful resolution. It's imperative that the United States continues to ensure that Israel has the resources it needs to enhance its security and meet these threats. That's a Democrat saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not saying he's for a one-state solution or a two-state solution, but he's basically telling the Palestinians, knock it off, and hey, we need to give them the tools to be able to get this done because Israel has a right to self-defense.
Absolutely. And listen, I mean, what was it, last year the United Nations convicting Bibi on certain levels of trying to say that he committed war crimes during the last offensive with Palestine, where Palestine launched, what was it, a couple hundred rockets.
You had the counter. Do you remember? It went off during the show several times.
Yeah, the code red alert. Couple hundred rockets on top of Israel. And Abbas and none of the people in Palestine were held responsible for that.
Right.
But Netanyahu's response, sending in the tanks, trying to get rid of the tunnels and close it off, that all of a sudden had outcry.
Yes.
It's almost like the people who don't want you to discipline your child. Right? Oh, you shouldn't yell at him. You should never hit your child.
Never spank.
Never a reason to hit your child. There's never a reason to take anything away from your child. Blah, blah, blah.
No, because that's cruel.
Right. Right. And that's the way. That's almost how they treat the Palestinians. Like, with the exception is my 5-year-old's not walking out of his room with an RPG.
Right, but if he did, the left would have you condemn his actions in the strongest verbal way possible.
A really naughty letter.
Yes, you are very naughty. You should not possess that rocket
Limit the amount
grenade.
of apple juice I give him at dinner.
No, because that'd be sanctions.
Right.
You can't do that. You're not to that point yet. He hasn't fired it at anybody multiple times after you told him to stop. And he would have to search his own room for RPGs.
I have a couple corrections I need to point out to you, one specifically from the exceptional one himself. Your statement that Menendez, being a Democrat, is erroneous. Democrats are no more. He is actually a socialist.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah. So democratic socialist, so maybe I was right. Don't correct me on my own show.
And Gulf Dogs Ron also said that anyone who believes the Republican Party still exists is confused as well. I would agree with that statement.
I would absolutely agree. Well, it's still the Republican Party. They're just not the party that we all knew, and that's why we need another party.
Right, they just changed their name.
Like a panty party.
It's kind of like Michael Jackson.
Right.
When he went from dark to light. Well, he's still Michael Jackson.
Right, why is it you liked him more as he got lighter? Which is weird, because you're the blatant bigot.
Like
Never mind, I answered my own question.
The later albums were just better. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's not true. Off the Wall was his best album by far. Nasty Nick giving a big thumbs up from the corner.
That's when he was still young enough to touch kids and get away with it. So anyhow,
Nasty Nick? No, that is not true.
I was talking about Michael Jackson.
Okay, well, context. Context is very important for a radio show where people can't see what we're talking about, Sean.
Oh, man. To answer the question, because you essentially said, what's the administration have? What is Kerry going to do when he gets over to the Middle East?
Well, yeah, because the note on the board is Kerry's en route, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. The answer is nothing.
Nothing.
Right? What I really want to see is who he pushes against. Does he push at Israel to back off? Or does he push at Palestine to back off?
So here's the thing. Yesterday's press briefing, the press was pressing, hey, what is it exactly you're going to do? And the State Department spokesman, Mark Toner, he says, well...
I have no fucking idea.
Oh, well, listen. Kerry is going to urge both sides to condemn the violence and combat incitement.
What?
What? Huh? The hell does that mean?
Did they just reach into the non-answer bucket?
Yes!
With that one?
Yes. Quick, teleprompter, give me a non-answer. 5. We're gonna urge both sides to condemn violence.
Oh, well,
how about you condemn the primary aggressor?
Exactly.
Right?
Can we just be realistic?
Look, if Israel launched an all of a sudden attack for no reason whatsoever on a particular population, we would probably condemn that. Right. On an innocent population for no reason.
Yep.
To be clear, I think building a nuclear weapon is a good reason. I think shooting rockets at your people is a good reason. I think having knife attacks and gun attacks and suicide, I think that's a damn good reason. But just because, like if they wanted to fire off a missile at, like, Australia, I'd condemn that.
If all of a sudden Israel showed up in, I don't know, Luxembourg, and just started dropping munitions, I'd be pissed off.
Right.
I'd be like, really?
Right, but if they went to Germany, I'd be like, yeah, I kind of understand.
All right, well,
It took you 60 years, but whatever.
PTSD.
Right.
Right? Sometimes you just snap back.
Right. So, I don't know what that means. What are you going to do? Are you going to tell Israel you need to condemn violence? No. Because then essentially what you're saying is Israel shouldn't defend itself through violence. And sometimes violence is necessary when you're talking about self-defense.
I just want to grab these a-holes around the neck. And then when they push my hands away...
If you cut out around the neck and just said, I just want to grab these a-holes, that would have had a completely different start to a conversation, just so you know.
I just want to grab these a-holes who say things like this around the neck. And then when they push their hands away and start pushing back, like, hey, get off me. Nope, you have no right to defend yourself.
Yeah, why are you assaulting me?
Why? Right.
You just assaulted me.
You just came right at me and slapped my hands. I can't believe this.
Right.
This is horrendous. No, you grabbed my throat first. It doesn't matter.
No.
You assaulted me.
You assaulted me. And I'm placing you under arrest. I am placing you under citizen's arrest
charges.
For assaulting me.
Filing charges.
Do you vote Democrat or Republican? Republican? Damn, I'm screwed. Oh, Democrat? Oh, yeah, you can't. No. Could you imagine having two sets of laws? One that applies to Republicans and one that applies to Democrats?
Well, we had an idea about this.
Right? So if you're a Democrat, you can't possess a gun.
Right.
You can't defend yourself
at all,
or you'll go to jail. Right. You'll get in trouble for assault. But if you're a Republican, you can. Right?
Right.
If you're a Republican, you can't take welfare. Right? If you're a Democrat, you can take all the welfare you want. Or if you're a Republican out of work, you can take welfare for a limited amount of time while you get back on your feet.
But if you're a Democrat, i.e. socialist, doesn't matter how much you work, you only make a certain amount of money.
Right. And then everything else. So everybody makes the same amount of money. If you're a Republican, you can have...
Right.
My
favorite one is the gun thing. I thought that was the best one that we'd come up with.
Yeah, I agree.
What do we call it? Prop 2.5?
Yes.
2.5 or something like that?
Prop 2A.5 or something like that.
As soon as you mark that you vote Democrat, you have to turn your weapon in.
You have to waive your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms.
Yep.
So essentially voting Democrat would be a waiving of your rights.
I think that would be amazing.
Right?
Which is... It's so funny because if you see our policies of this administration push overseas, it is exactly that. The ones who we think should be turned down, in this case Israel, are the ones we condemn, and the ones who are actually causing the problems and killing innocent people or attempting to kill innocent people are told everything's going to be okay and go on your way.
So Israel is saying that this current trend of violence is not so much because of political differences, but more because of a big anti-Semitic movement in order to create a religious war. And there was a cabinet minister, Steinitz, I believe is how you pronounce it, who quoted the Palestinian President Abbas's statement where he blessed, quote, every drop of blood spilled for Allah. And he went on to talk about how Jews are desecrating Jerusalem's holy site with their, quote, filthy feet. So it's almost, I would almost equate this to ISIS, right? It sounds almost more like a holy war, right?
Right. Well, it's no longer,
they can kill Jews because
it's
they're
no longer
they're
about
not
the
Muslim.
land. It's no longer about being part or not part of a country. It's not about the state
Right,
solution.
exactly.
It's now crossing into a religious war.
And if that's the case, how is that not extremism, Islamic extremism, and a hate crime,
Right.
or a race war, or terrorism? Why is it not being called that anywhere across the
And
world?
there are those who will argue, though, that it has been a race, religious issue for years, and only now is it coming out to be a religious issue. But Palestine is a Muslim offshoot. I don't even want to say it's a Muslim group. The Palestinians are Muslim. Most
Yes,
of them.
yes.
Very, very, 98, 99% of the deal. This fight has been a non-Jewish state fight, a fight against the Jews and the Israelis. It had nothing to do with the land per se. Because you know what? If they didn't want to fight the Israelis, they could have come to a solution a long time ago.
Right.
But there's always been a reason, and you've heard their rhetoric when they spoke.
Because they're extremists and
Yes.
they want to kill.
Right.
The
The only
Jews.
difference between them and ISIS is they've been there in Palestine for years now, and we've
Right. What's the difference between them and Nazis?
We've gone through the political correctness bull for so long that they've become recognized as Palestinians versus terrorists.
Right.
Well, it's okay. It's just Palestine. Well, no, it's still
No,
terrorist
there's no
activity.
such. Is there such a place as Palestine? Show me on a map where Palestine is.
Oh, the restaurant?
Nope.
No.
Not the Palace Stein.
Oh, I was thinking it was that German.
Yeah,
palace
no, not the Palace Stein. No, not that Stein Palace or whatever it is. No,
Right.
but no, the nation of Palestine. Can you show me on a map
Ironically,
where we have a world
German
map right
people.
here? I need you to show me. I need you to show me where the nation of Palestine
Now,
is.
if you Google it or look at the UN's website, they'll show you exactly where it is.
No, but show me on the map, the accepted world map that's put out.
Oh, yeah,
where-
that doesn't exist.
Oh, it doesn't.
No. That doesn't, no.
Huh. You okay? Well, according to, just Googled it right here. So, the state of Palestine, also known simply as Palestine, is a partially recognized proto-state in the Middle East. Huh. Its independence was declared by Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, in Algiers, as a government in exile. Oh, that sounds legit to me.
I love partially recognized.
Right.
That'd be like, hey, are you a pilot? Well, my license is partially recognized.
Right. In what? Cracker Jack?
By who? The FAA?
But no, by Sega.
No, the BAA. It's the Bill's Airline Administration. It's a guy named Bill who recognizes it. He says I'm good.
No, Xbox. Xbox. I got a game. I can totally fly it. It says I'm. I've got.
How else can you get away with that
I've
bullshit?
got gamer score.
Hey, did you beat the cancer? Partially.
I partially nailed that.
Recognize that it's gone.
Right.
The other part of it, it's still completely killing me.
It's kind of there.
Which is actually a great metaphor for Palestine, isn't it? At this point,
Right.
It's a partially recognized cancer.
Right. The term Palestine's been associated with the geographical area currently covers the state of Israel. Oh, so it's not a country. They have a flag.
So don't we! It's right up over my head.
We're a country, Sean. You know what? Let's be president and prime minister, you and I.
That's our new.
That's our new. Can we change in our articles of incorporation? Can we change? Can we instead of general manager and president? Can we be president and prime minister? Can we do that?
Sure.
Then maybe we could purchase an aircraft carrier for real.
What else do we need to do to be partially recognized?
I don't know,
By
Sean.
the UN.
Attack
How
somebody.
great would it be to get a table at the UN?
Seconds.
Just literally like Obama's speech midway through. Bullshit! Bullshit! Just
Hey, where's Biden?
we have our own frat club at the UN. Woo! Toga parties.
We're Security Council members because we got the Russians drunk. They voted us
They
in.
got us in.
You want us to vote with you for something? Sure.
Come on, every Thursday's Toga days. The Italians are down for it. Let's go.
Hey, where's Putin at?
We're literally getting the delegations to fight in the hallways.
Match up.
Match up.
Hey, so on this thing, this show, we have this thing called match up.
Funny, in our country, we have a tradition called match up.
Everybody's I'm not fighting Putin.
Let's see. The easiest
Oh, my
way.
gosh.
Ken actually gave us the easiest way to get inside the UN. As a seated member, just say that we hate the United States and Israel.
Oh. Yeah, but there's too many archived shows.
Well, hey, you know what? We fundamentally changed.
Oh, yeah. We had an epiphany. And then maybe we can petition the U.S. government for... Look we have to attack somebody. We fly our flag, we attack somebody.
And then if we bring Ken, if they don't let us in, they're
We bring Ken,
racist.
and they're racist.
That's right.
Right, but then they would point out that you are too.
But Ken has to wear a shirt that has a picture of a coin on it with the word token on it. The entire time we're in delegation. The entire time. Just a T-shirt with a giant coin that says token on it.
That's messed up, Sean.
Instead of 25 cents, 2/3.
What? Why? Why? Because he couldn't hang with us as a legitimate person. You have to refer to him as token.
Well, it'd be-
Ken, you would be invited to hang out at my end of the table with the delegation because I appreciate you as a human being, and it's good to have a black guy.
I got that
Now,
idea.
anyways,
I got that idea from Ken in the chat room. That would be awesome. I want to buy him that shirt anyways.
we need to make it.
But it'd be even funnier because if there's three of us and he had the 2/3 instead of 25 cents, but he actually had 2/3 of the vote and we only had a third on what our delegation does.
So now you're overthinking it. It's not funny
I'm
anymore.
just saying.
Stop it.
I'm just saying there's a lot going on there.
Right, this would be affirmative action.
It would be.
Instead of the statement of the Constitution, the UN would freaking love us. No, that 2/3 doesn't refer to him as a person. Constitution, no, it's affirmative action. He gets 2/3 of the vote. Yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
We have to split a third.
Right. It's ridiculous because we're white.
Oh, by the way, Russia, I heard the Ukraine talking about you in the bathroom. Anyway, we're going to go with this, guys.
Hey, Vlad. Hey, Obama called you a pussy.
I don't know, something about being a puss. Anyhow, we're going to go.
Yeah. Well, we gotta go. See you later. Slap him on the ass. Where is this Obama?
There is Obama calling me pussy.
Yeah, but here comes Biden. He'd be like, hey, Putin, they were just fucking with you, but I did, you puss.
High five right there because he said it. No, on the floor of the UN. On the floor of the UN, you know, where you hunk up with your wife. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. Does not matter. All I'm saying, Vlad, is, you keep being friggin' crazy, because, man, you scare the shit out of us.
Yeah, but not me. Hey, see you in Syria.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network. In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on The Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
If our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border to coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to the Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges.
And we're back on the Sackheads Radio Show, live from the SHR studios
the crony capitalism
in
so common
sunny
today
California.
is a place where the government
But
bestows
not really,
favors and tax
because,
dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was.
I think my headset's dead.
The Constitution is not so outdated.
Because I started talking about how we're back live from the SHR Studio Network.
By Hillsdale College.
And
to join the national conversation on the
we're still
Constitution,
going.
go to Constitution.
Nasty Nick had to point to that. The commercial's still on.
And now we're back.
And now we're back. At the SHR Media Network studios live.
You unplug one headphones and you're just all jacked up.
So listen, I'm not the tech guy. We've been through this. How many times?
Oh, man.
Look, more on the Middle East. We talked about Israel and Palestine last segment, and I want to move on to Syria. Actually, I want you to move on to Syria. And some of the things that are happening there, a lot going on there with Russia, and we won't even get into who else is there now.
Right. So the first big thing that's going on is the airspace incursions.
Mm-hmm.
We've had quite a few of them with the Russian military who are doing ground assault with the Frogfoot, the Su-25 Frogfoots, backing up Syrian forces. But some of the missions, the Americans are under orders right now that if they are within visual flight rules, which I believe is 15 miles, they are to divert no matter what their mission is and clear the way. Now, this partially pisses me off too.
Partially, but I
understand.
I understand the safety aspect of it. We don't want to get into a shooting war with Russia.
This administration any more than not getting in Russia's way, even in a military conflict, right? I mean, for the love of God, just get out of their way. No, we don't want to piss them off. And there's been several, including more.
Do you know why I think the administration did that? And this hasn't been said. That as far as anyway, I don't think it's been said. I honestly believe that if we were continuing on with our mission, and Russia pilot or whatever thought that our aircraft was going to interfere with that or pose a threat, they'd shoot our guy down.
Yeah, absolutely would.
I believe they'd engage him and continue on with their mission.
I think more importantly, some of those missions, that means that they are dropping ordnance in the same place that we're operating, and we may be dropping ordnance onto their people who are backing up the Syrians. I think that's part of the reason as well.
No, because we're only dropping ordnance on ISIS.
Right.
And Russia doesn't support ISIS.
No, but
Russia supports Assad's troops who are in a war.
Then why are we bombing in the same place? And if we're doing it if we're bombing the same exact people, why aren't we doing it together? We talked about this last week.
Well, because Russia's not bombing them.
Right. Exactly.
Right, but I'm not saying we're not dropping ordnance on Syrian troops.
We're literally dropping ordnance on the other side of the street from where they're dropping ordnance. They're dropping it on the Free Syrian Army. Right. We're dropping it on ISIS.
That's because their stuff's not as accurate.
So
it's just not as accurate.
That's why I think that the diversion orders.
This is where Russia should come out and say, we are dropping in same place, but you have better weapons. We wish we had your technology because we are just one block. Big difference, 10,000 feet. Who knows? Our crosshairs don't line up. Our pilots, they cannot. Budget cuts.
Vodka. They all fly drunk. I mean, you know this.
You know this.
They've been doing it for years.
They drink the gasoline. It's weird. You know our airplanes run on vodka.
So, and there's also been more Turkish airspace incursions, which I've read reports, and I haven't been able to actually confirm this, but I've read reports that Turkish pilots are pretty much to the point where they're being told to defend themselves. I read that twice. One of them was out of, I want to say, the Atlantic website.
Last week we talked about an incident where Russia actually got missile lock.
Right, 4 minutes, Tone. For 4 minutes on a Turkish
pilot.
That
Turkish pilot, I wish there was a recording that said, nah, Goose, he'd have fired by now. He's just trying to piss us off.
I'm just glad that I don't want to be the guy that has to clean out the suit afterwards. Because I don't care what you think the guy's going to do. As soon as he locks Tone on you,
yeah, but after like a minute, you're like, this guy's just screwing with me now.
But you already shit yourself after a minute. The damage is done. Now you have to fly with it.
That's not true. These guys are professionals. He didn't.
I don't care who you are. That would make you pucker a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
So that
crazy Ivan.
You pulled a crazy Ivan.
Pulled a crazy Ivan. Did he go left or right?
Totally different war application.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Funny. And by the way, Hunt for Red October.
That's right.
See?
Good Tom Clancy book and movie.
It was actually a really good movie.
It was a good movie. Very good movie.
It's one of the few times Alec Baldwin wasn't totally insane.
Mm-hmm. Actually met him once.
Did you really?
He was a very nice man.
Really?
Yep.
I gotta give you it then.
He was very nice to talk to.
Wow, that's kind of funny. You hear so many horrible things. Not important right now.
Not important right now. It was just we were talking about movies.
To Syria at some point.
I'm not going to Syria. You can go to Syria,
dude. How funny would it be if they deported us to Syria?
Live from Syria, the Sackheads Radio.
We just showed up one night, and INS was here. They're like, "Oh, we're American citizens. Well, fight it in court, but you're leaving for Syria tonight." Wait, what? Grab your cute little microphones, a-holes. Let's go. So funny.
Wait, who are you? TSA?
That's weird.
That's cute.
Yeah, and you can't bring any liquid that has more than 4 ounces in it. Come on, get on the plane, pal. So that the air aspect of it alone is a cause for concern. You can't imagine the pilots enjoy this, the American pilots, for a couple different reasons. One, if you've ever met any sort of combat aviator, they've got chip on their shoulder that they've rightfully earned. I'm certainly not arguing that.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, to be told you have to back off and give way to anybody when you're on your mission and divert your mission because somebody's within 15 miles of you, visual flight rules. I think that's going to be a little bit more insulting as well.
What if Syria said, you know what, U.S., you can no longer fly over our airspace?
Well, herein lies the rub, right? Because they have that right to do so.
Yes, they do. And that would solve the whole problem. So I think it is in our best interest to kind of work with them a little bit. If we're going to continue to strike ISIS there.
Well, we do need to continue to strike ISIS.
And that's kind of the rub, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
Because if Syria says, hey, you're not going to get out of the way, fine. Our airspace is closed to you. You cannot fly over our airspace. I don't care who you're engaging. We have the Russians here. We have our help. and they're going to help us take care of ISIS. And if you don't believe us, that's too bad. If you fly over our airspace, we're going to shoot you down, and we'd be screwed.
We would be totally screwed.
So we actually have to be very careful in this from a diplomatic standpoint, I think.
I still say we tell them to get the hell out of the way. Now,
but you know what would happen?
I want to go full Biden on this.
Go.
I want to go full friggin' Biden on this.
Go.
If they get in your way, flip them off, throw a missile at them, and just keep going. I think that's the approach that we should have. Right? Just literally fly up next to them and just throw the finger at them for a few minutes.
No, here's how you solve the problem. You fly a C-130 right over the Russian airbase. You drop case after case of vodka. They get so shit-faced drunk that they can't fly. Hear me out on this.
Okay, but I already have a solution for this.
They can't fly because they're so hammered, or they just fly themselves into the ground. Either way, problem is solved.
Or they drink so much vodka, the amount of vodka, general price of vodka in the world increases.
And then you're not happy.
Strikes. I'm not happy. Nobody's happy.
Russia makes more money.
They still ingest the same amount of vodka and fly the same anyhow because, hello, they're Russian. So it's not going to bother them. And C, it's a waste. We probably wouldn't be allowed to fly over.
Okay, so hear me out on this. New plan. We spike the vodka with GHB.
Okay.
Colorless, odorless liquid.
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah. Knocks them out.
Take some pictures with them.
Parachute some hookers in that we pay for.
They're already there.
They'll be partying for days.
Well, it's like these guys are 6 days ahead of our plan. There's already hookers everywhere. What plan? We haven't put it in place yet. Where the hookers come from? They brought them with them from Russia. Damn it. They were in crates.
And wait, where are our guys at?
That's them on the ground. They're the ones who are passed out drunk. No GHB. 3 bottles apiece. Put them out cold. What...
So,
as I said last week, though, I'm afraid that one interaction could change the entire complexity of this incident.
There's no doubt. And here's the other thing. Iran has about 1,500 troops now.
Yes.
That are in there. So in Syria fighting this war right now, we have Russia, obviously. We have Syria. You have Iranian troops now. And there's a report that came out today that says that a top Cuban general,
Cuba,
and
some paramilitary forces.
Mm-hmm.
They're also believed that they're for their expert in the Russian tanks that the Syrians are operating.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know that the Cubans are extremely well versed in the Russian tanks and the operation. They train a lot. They're supposed to be quote unquote experts on Russian military equipment.
And
they believe they were training in Russia originally with the Russians, and then being transported down from Russia into Syria. So you now have a coalition.
An international coalition of 4 nations.
4.
So far.
Right, and that's what we know of.
And
how long before China shows up?
Yeah, and we're backing the rebel forces.
So we have a proxy war going on right now with 4 nations.
Yeah, and Obama came out and said, this whole proxy war thing, that's just the Republicans trying to turn it into something. No.
But it's not a proxy war with Palestine.
Right.
At what point does the term proxy change definition? It is a proxy war, whether we want it to be or not.
Right.
It is. We may not have got into it believing it was going to become a proxy war, but it just
became one. So what do? Do we stay in it? And then how much support the rebels can't? We just
dropped 50 tons of ammunition and small arms to the rebels 2 days ago. 50 tons were dropped.
Do you really think those rebel troops can stand up to Cuban forces?
No.
Iranian forces, no. Russian forces, and Syrian forces?
They were barely holding with Syria.
Right.
Barely holding.
So
ISIS screwed up a lot of their progress, I will admit, and they're also fighting ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about the wars we can't fight on a multinational front. Now you have a small Free Syrian Army. Whether you like or dislike them, it doesn't matter. They're the person that our government has chosen to support, and they are now fighting essentially a 2-front war:
an international
ISIS
and an international coalition.
International coalition. We are supporting and dropping ammunition and arms. What do we do? What do we do?
Do we put troops on the ground?
We just put troops.
And then if we do, who else comes into the fight?
Well, and we just started putting troops on the ground in Africa to fight Boko Haram, right? So if we're willing to put troops on the ground, and this is the thing that amazes me, we're putting, I think I read 400 or 500 troops on the ground to go hunt Boko Haram through Africa. We will put troops on the ground for Boko Haram, which has sworn allegiance to Al Qaeda. If I'm not ISIS. I'm sorry, ISIS. If I'm not mistaken. So we're actually fighting ISIS there as well. But we will not put boots on the ground to fight ISIS in Syria and support the Free Syrian Army, who our government has chosen to support.
Right.
Why? And I'm not saying it's the right answer, but what I'm saying is be consistent. That's the biggest problem this administration has.
But here's the problem. If you put troops on the ground, you are now in a war.
You're committed.
You're committed.
I understand, but you just committed.
Now we're not just supporting them. Now we are actively fighting.
But we just committed 400 or more troops to ISIS in Africa.
But we don't have them in Africa fighting for other countries.
Yes, they are. They're fighting for the local countries in Africa.
But they're not fighting Russia. They're not fighting other governments that are going to cause a world war.
I understand that, but before Russia, Cuba, and all those people were in, when it was the Free Syrian Army against Syria.
Yes, but this is where we are now.
Right, I understand that. But even if, say we had troops, say this all happened, we put troops on the ground and said, hey, you were not to engage the Syrian military, you were to engage ISIS.
Right.
Direct orders.
Right.
And now we were to the point that we're at now.
Right. So now Russia would have to be very careful they don't hit any of ours, and our troops are not supposed to engage Syria. But you know what would happen? Syria would say, "Oh, well, we thought they were
collateral damage."
Yeah.
Sorry, they died when we were trying to bomb our attacks. So the answer, the question really becomes: do we get the hell out now while we still can? I mean, listen, this administration's abandoned people like crazy, right?
Right.
Look at Iraq. They've abandoned people just fine and walked away without thinking about it.
Yep.
They don't care what gets lost. So you look at Iraq. Why wouldn't they pull everything out right now? Hey, guys, you're on your own. I mean, we won't even support the people in northern Iraq that were fighting ISIS.
Or Israel.
So why would we support the Free Syrian Army? Might as well get the hell out.
Or commit, because how much money are you going to throw away?
Or you have to start increasing, right? Russia's launching cruise missiles at ISIS. We launch cruise missiles at ISIS.
But we know that our weapons and ammunition by themselves are probably not going to be enough.
Even close.
For this group to win.
Well.
So how much money are we going to waste? I mean, does it come down to dollars and cents? Because I don't think we can win this. I don't think these troops can win this without our involvement in the war. And if we get involved, I see a potential start of a
huge conflict.
Yes.
It'll expand quickly. So do you turn around now? Do you really turn around and say, hey, you know what? We need to sit down with Syria, Russia, Cuba, the FSA, the Free Syrian Army. We all need to get to the table and say, all right, we all agree that ISIS is the problem.
Yes, but do you really think that... Do you really think that they're going to say, yeah, okay, we're going to stop focusing on this other group and we're all going to fight ISIS?
What else?
Because Russia,
what else are we going to do that?
Why would Syria, Russia, Cuba, or Iran agree to that when they have the upper hand?
No, I understand that, but this listen, you have an option.
They wouldn't support it.
You have an option. Yeah, but you know what? Even if you're trying to the diplomacy part of it, you could turn around and say, hey, we tried. And at least have some sort of chip somewhere in your stack that you can try to play later when you go to the UN or whatever BS this guy likes to play. But at least you can say you tried. Hey, you know what? We tried to stop the civil war by uniting them against a common enemy. They refused to unite against a common enemy. Then we have a reason to either go further with our support for the Free Syrian Army, and that may include boots on the ground, or completely withdraw, like we've done in the past on look at Vietnam and a lot of other places, and just leave them to their own devices. But what does that do to the Middle East now?
And what's that do to U.S.-Cuban relations, which were just reopened again?
Well, and
because this is a clear signal that Cuba is more interested.
And I want to talk about that in a second, but I have one more point to bring up.
Yeah.
We jump out. Free Syrian Army goes down. Russia, Cuba, and the other nations, Iran, eventually take out ISIS all the way through. all the way through northern Iraq, and now there's a vacuum. Who do you think is going to fill that vacuum?
Russia.
Of course.
Yeah, Russia and influence.
It's another land grab.
Because we are out of the region because of this administration's policies.
So do we allow that to happen there as well? There's a lot of things.
I don't think this administration cares about that. I don't. Look at how they've reacted in Crimea. Look, I don't think this administration cares about that.
Feckless.
Yes.
Feckless. All of this could have changed 4 years ago.
It could have, but it didn't.
Right.
So at this point,
I understand that.
Do you advocate sending troops there and getting involved in that war?
No.
Exactly.
No. The answer is no.
Exactly.
Do I think we should be throwing ordnance like crazy? Do I think that we should be launching cruise missiles? And if they happen to hit some Syrians, oh well. The Syrian military.
But we're not targeting them.
We're not targeting them, but possibility. I think...
Because the second we target them, that's...
I think this administration's created this monster.
Look, I think as soon as we target them or as soon as we hit them by accident, they're going to close their airspace to us.
Oh, no. I agree. I think this administration's caused this, though.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt.
Allowed this to continue to grow, and I truly think that he now needs to do the only thing that's left to do that's possible, even though he's going to look like an a-hole, and pull out and just make it a democratic approach. Words only. Why even send our troops up at this point? Why our pilots up? Why put the risk of them even crashing on the table if we're not going to fully support the Free Syrian Army?
Yeah, we say, hey, listen, you guys have the fight against ISIS? Okay, we're out. We'll go fight ISIS in another part of the world.
Hey, guys, boat leaves at noon. That's all I would say.
Right?
You're either on it or you're not. Sorry.
Hey, Putin, you guys got ISIS here? You do your thing. Okay, we're going to go fight ISIS elsewhere.
Yeah,
we got them in Africa. You got them here.
There's some lovely land in Africa if you guys want to take that and get out. I'm just saying.
Right.
There's not much else to do. No, listen, Obama has once again screwed the pooch on this. It started with the red line comment, right?
And this is going to be such a cluster for any incoming president to have to undo. And there's no Democrat that's going to undo this.
No!
There's no way. There's no Democrat that's going to undo this.
You cannot unfuck this with a crowbar.
And I don't even know if a Republican can handle
You need to make some bold, brash decisions if you are going to resolve this, because you either need to completely walk away and go after Russia and say, hey, I understand you're helping, but you crossed the line and we're going to kick your ass.
And in which case, what's Russia do? Putin's got a huge ego. He's going to say, well, then bring it.
Right.
Or if you get a Reagan in there, he may say, ooh, we don't want to get involved in this right now.
It depends on who gets in there. Election is very big for this.
Yes.
But you have to understand, where is this going to expand to? And that's the problem. Like I said, Russia's set up perfectly right now to expand their reach into northern Iraq.
There's nobody there who's going to stop him.
Exactly.
Nobody. They just filled the vacuum that we left.
And, the other thing I wanted to touch on real quick before we jump is the Israel-Palestine things. Israel was starting to mass troops near the Turkish border, which made it more difficult for them to deal with Palestine and Hamas. So this conflict is once again affecting negatively our friends in Israel as well. So
and look, Israel is just south of Syria. So you have Israel and Palestine kind of going at it right there in that region. Mm-hmm. You have Syria with Russia and Iranian troops there and everything else. Turkey is just to the north. There are a lot of problems in this entire region with our NATO ally Turkey involved. And you've already talked about the Russian incursions there and so forth. And hey, what happens if they say, hey, NATO, we need help. We are now in a shooting war with Russia.
Right.
And is that something Russia wants to get involved with? And then you mentioned China. Where do they come down? Where do our allies in Europe come down? Or do they completely stay out of it? What if the Palestinian group says, hey, Russia, we need support for whatever? Or, hey, Iran, send some troops our way. And now you have Iranian troops in Syria and Palestine against Israel. And then does Israel support? I mean, there's a lot that could potentially play out here.
It's
and I know there's some people say, "Oh no, that'll never happen." But you think Iran? Look, we know Iran wants to wipe Israel off the face of the map. Why wouldn't they support
Look at what Hitler
Palestine?
did in World War II, right? Mm-hmm. Started inviting himself into countries and leaving troops and brigades, and literally you're just infiltrating a little bit at a time, but more importantly, destabilizing. And as actually Agador just pointed out in this chat room, as you continue to destabilize, eventually the people will cry for things to be stabilized, and Russia can come in and be that stabilizing force.
Absolutely.
And the hero. And now you can't get them out of there, even with the people with the 65-foot shoehorn. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
Nope. And then they have all those resources because they would.
Yeah. This is chess. We talked about this before with Putin. This is chess. Israel, Syria, just pawns. Putin's the king. Right now, Assad's the queen. And literally and figuratively. Actually, China's the queen. And they're getting things in place. And eventually, it's going to be checkmate. And all of this, like I said, Syria was allowed to happen by this administration. We all knew what was going on. The red line thing came. If he never said the red line comments and we never supported the Free Syrian Army, we'd just be off to the side right now having a conversation about how horrible it is, but it's really not up to us. If he threw cruise missiles when he said he was going to, the Syrians probably would have fallen already.
Oh, yeah. And Russia wouldn't be there.
And Russia would not be there whatsoever.
Nope, and neither would Iran.
And I'm not saying that, we should go in once again and get rid of a dictator, but you look at sometimes while deposing or removing a dictator, I understand the vacuum that it leaves. On the other hand, this is the other evil. This is the evil you don't know. And you now have a coalition and axis of evil, if you will, with its feet firmly planted in the Middle East and starting to expand. Only a matter of time before you see the Chinese flag on certain patches.
And look,
certain uniforms.
And Iran is already touting that this coalition has been successful in fighting terrorism in the region. So they're doing all this under the auspices of fighting ISIS.
And Iran's going to get more involved because they just lost a major general in the conflict with ISIS over there. And one of their brigadier generals was killed in an ISIS attack. So I think you're going to see Iran expanding. I wouldn't be.
We're already starting to pull out. Do you remember what was last week? We said the U.S. we stopped.
He says that.
What?
Go ahead.
What? Pull out. We already stopped its training program for the Syrian rebels.
Right.
So we're already easing back. We're not going to train you anymore. We'll give you some guns. I wonder what kind of guns they're dropping. They're dropping like old M1 Garands from the civilian marksmanship program.
They're getting muskets. We found a couple crates buried. There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, little 38 snub nose.
Just boxes of them. What the hell? It's a hammer.
We're giving you 38s and we're giving you 9mm ammunition.
You can make that work.
Right. Figure it out.
I can't predict what's going to happen. However, part of me thinks that Turkey will be the twist on this. If Turkey becomes more involved, if ISIS expands into Turkey and maybe the Russians go into Turkey chasing ISIS or bombing into Turkey or something to that effect, I think you're going to see this. It's going to blow up. And again, a couple Tomahawk missiles 4 years ago could have changed this. Because even if it didn't take Assad out of power, it could have shut him up.
Absolutely.
And this whole civil war could have went away quickly.
Absolutely. That's what happens when you draw a red line and do nothing about it.
Absolutely.
Because everybody knows we're not going to do anything about it.
And now they can push the issue and play their little bullshit games, and here we are today. And it's scary. And, for the good people that live in the Middle East, the Israelis, etc., I fear. I fear for them because that place is just going to be destroyed.
And they're on their own.
And they're
under this administration.
And even maybe afterwards, because like we said earlier, it is so jacked right now that who can fix it?
Right.
Who can fix it?
Do you really think this administration, if Iran put troops to help Palestine, to help the Palestinians, do you really think the U.S. would put troops in there to support Israel?
Iranian troops showing up in Palestine and Lebanon right now would not shock me at all. And we would do nothing.
Nope.
Absolutely nothing.
And Israel would fall.
Well, I don't think Israel will fall.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think Russia would back them? Would back Iran?
I don't
if they put troops there?
I don't care. Iran would be a glass parking lot before Israel falls.
Oh, from Israel?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Iran will be a glass parking lot before Israel were to fall to Iran. Even if they lose to Russia, Iran would still be a glass parking lot.
We'd find out very quickly if Iran actually has nuclear weapons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'd never get one off the ground. I'll tell you that right now. It'll never, ever happen. We're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to close out the show with stuff I can't read off the board because I took my glasses off. Clint?
That's good. No, we're going to come back with some surprise statement from Rahm Emanuel in Chicago, based on the Rahm Emanuel, from the violence that has erupted in Chicago, which is weird because they're so anti-gun there.
Right, you think everything gets...
and then we're going to also talk about the Democratic debates when we come back.
All that and more on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. But for those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
We're back. And we're back on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Crime rate, Chicago. You know, it's so funny because for years, Chicago has been such a peaceful place and not run by Democrats.
Yeah, their crime rate has just been plummeting ever since they completely outlawed guns there. They're such a... Wait. Oh. So, Chicago's seen a spike in homicides.
What?
Yeah.
How do you spike from what they had?
It goes up. So September was Chicago's deadliest month with 60 homicides. It was our deadliest month since 2002. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 60.
Well, yeah.
Think about that.
I am. Rahm Emanuel says that, look, it's because law enforcement is afraid to do anything because of everything that's gone on with the media and whatnot. Officers are afraid of getting in trouble. And so he's blaming the spike in violence essentially on police inaction.
Kind of like we heard in Baltimore, right? Remember about 2 months after the whole Freddie Gray incident, the people in Baltimore were complaining that the police weren't taking action because the police were afraid to.
Right. Because,
and they were.
Right. Because, and Rahm Emanuel says, look, officers are telling me about how the news over the last 15 months impacted their instincts. Do they stop or do they keep driving? And he said that in a news conference. And he said that officers told him, quote, when I stop here, is it going to be my career on the line? And that's an honest conversation, he said. All of us who want officers to be proactive, to be able to do community policing in a proactive way, have to encourage them. So it's not their job on the line or that judgment call all the time that they stop. This could be a career ender.
Well, and that's the thing you have to look at. And you could say, well, it's their job, blah, 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 blah. But you look at a guy who's been a cop for 5 or 6 years. It's going to be his long-term career. He plans on retiring a police officer.
Right.
He knows that one false complaint or something that's conceived as inappropriate,
or it's a good shoot and the person happens to be unarmed.
Right. As we have seen with St. Louis, or the riots there just outside of St. Louis.
Because I want to be clear. Look, just because somebody's unarmed does not mean it was not a good shoot.
Right.
Based upon all of the circumstances.
Well, and that's neither here nor there.
Well, but it kind of is, because that's why the officers are afraid. They're going to get hung out to dry for making a good decision.
Well, the problem is we've allowed a court of public opinion to be the deciding factor.
Exactly. So I don't necessarily disagree with Rahm Emanuel on this.
No, I don't disagree. I just think it's ironic and amusing that it's Rahm Emanuel saying this.
Right.
You do have, after the Ferguson incident.
I want to know how he's going to encourage his officers.
Better start making some promises.
Right, because, he's talking about it. He's identified a problem.
But to go back to my point that I was making, you have a guy who's a cop 5-6 years, and he knows that one perceived mistake, and even if he makes an honest mistake, could not only ruin his career, and now he has a wife and a kid, and once you get fired as a cop, you better find a job doing something else because you'll never get hired again.
Right.
So you look elsewhere. His career's over. Maybe he has a wife and 2 kids. He can't afford his mortgage. Is he going to risk that, or is he going to do what he absolutely has to do and just go on and hopefully not get in trouble? The more he does proactively, the higher that risk is that he's going to be, especially an incident like Chicago.
Right.
All those gangbangers have guns. All the people that they should be targeting as problem people are armed, and a vast majority are probably African American. In the south side of Chicago, it's all black neighborhoods. That's where a majority of their homicides and drug dealing and crime comes from, is the south side of Chicago. It's a fact. It's not a blatant bigot comment.
No, I'm with you.
Before you go down that road.
No, I understand. I wasn't going down that road in this case.
So, if you're an officer who is not black, and I don't care what else you are, you get that complaint of racism because you targeted that group in the park. Listen, we see out of what was it, Cleveland, where a police officer shot the 14-year-old kid that pulled the BB gun. And people are still saying to this day, oh, he should be prosecuted. Well, he pulled what looked like to be a weapon.
In Sonoma County, there was a deputy sheriff that shot and killed.
AK-47 or fake AK-47.
It looked real. The red tip was removed.
Everything,
the guy pointed it at him.
Right. What do you do? So if you're that cop, male, female, whatever, and you have a whole family you have to feed, you start making a decision. And sometimes I don't even think it's a conscious decision. I think it probably starts to become subconscious.
You know what? At some point, the community gets what they ask for.
Yes. And it's funny.
Right?
Exactly. No. Ferguson, Baltimore.
Yes.
Baltimore is the prime example. Same thing with Chicago. You get exactly what you demanded. Hey, listen, it wasn't all that long ago in Chicago that they were complaining that the police were too mean and they were stopping too many people and they were profiling. You look at what happened in New York with de Blasio stop and frisk. Crime has gone through the roof again in New York. Homicides are going up in New York. Times Square is starting to become a demilitarized zone again. Look at Sacramento, right in our own backyards here in California. The mayor of Sacramento, funny story about that in a minute, but the mayor of Sacramento just had a meeting with the police department because crime rose immensely in Sacramento over the last year.
And after his comments about Ferguson and law enforcement.
Almost a year ago, to the day.
Yeah.
So now he's meeting with them looking for answers. How are we going to change this? How about you stop being cops when you're a politician? You let the cops be cops.
Right.
And stop trying to set their agenda and persuade them to do
as long as they're doing the right thing. If they're found innocent, or then you come out and you support them. Hey, a grand jury looked at the case. The officer was not wrong.
Stand behind him 100%.
I stand behind him 100%. I wasn't out there on the scene. I don't know. Now, if there was wrongdoing, the officer acted inappropriately, planted a taser on him and shot a
That's
different
okay.
story. And
Okay.
we're going to be the first ones to stand up and say that officer is dead wrong and needs to be held accountable. But that's not what's been happening.
Right.
I mean, that incident did happen, and we believe that cop should be held accountable. But by and large, that's not what we're talking about here in Ferguson and Chicago and these other places.
Well, and you've had other incidents. Look at was it Nashville, where the police officer just lost his life going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the second one they've lost in a couple months. They've lost 4 in the last couple years. So you also have that aspect affecting law enforcement too, right? This the video of the guy in L.A. sitting behind the police car with a revolver, and he showed his revolver on his cell phone in the police car, and he essentially said, "I could do it if I wanted to." So cops are also afraid that they're being targeted.
They are being targeted.
Well, rightfully so. But that also plays a role into how they act and respond.
They're not being targeted, rightfully so.
No.
But rightfully so to have that fear.
Exactly.
Right.
So do I get out of the car and walk through that park and look for the bad guys? Because there could be 5 of them waiting there to ambush me. Or do I wait until there's a call and there's 5 of us here to do it? Do I stop that individual who he's a black male, but I know him to be a drug dealer and a high crime, he's on probation, all this others, but if I stop him and I end up getting in a shootout and kill him, I'm going to lose my career. All those thoughts start to play in their mind, and the criminals know as soon as the police department stops doing work. They know without a doubt, hey, you know what? I just saw 5 cops drive by me. Normally they stop around here and check us out, or they check that park. They're not doing anything. And after a while, their friend's not going to jail, or, hey, you know what? Yeah, a cop stopped me. He didn't even do anything. He just walked away, or he said it's not worth my effort, or whatever. They talk, and crime expands.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have the Wild West, which is what Chicago has become. It is a lawless town. Yes, there are police officers. Yes, you have laws. But when you have a system that is not being supported, that should be supported...
They're going to be reactive only.
Yeah. And this is what you get, the Wild West.
Yep.
And that's where we are right now.
Debates.
The debates. Hillary won.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much else to really talk about, is there?
Does Joe get in now?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I think after that debate, here's where, and as much as I want to see Joe get in, don't get me wrong, here's where I think conservatives kind of win with Hillary winning. I don't think she's going to be eligible to be president by the time it rolls around. I truly don't.
And this is why I don't think this debate necessarily keeps Biden out. I think
it's going to be too little too late.
I think if Biden gets in soon, even after Hillary had an excellent showing in the debate, if everything falls apart and she gets the nomination, Joe's not in any different position than he's in now.
But he doesn't have as much money, time, to go into it.
But
this plays into the hands of the conservatives.
But he would I think he would be number 2. He's already catching her in the polls, and if she becomes ineligible, she gets arrested. If whatever happens to her, he becomes. You were number 2. Clinton lost it, turned in her wings.
I think Joe's out.
You're number 1.
I think Joe's out. I think if Joe was in, he would have been in that debate last night.
I don't think so. I think he wanted to see how Hillary did, but I don't think that's the sole. I don't think that's the only thing he's looking at. I think he's also looking at the direction that this investigation is going. And I think that if he weighs it within the next week or so, that it's a possibility or a strong possibility that she's not going to be eligible because of charges or whatever, I think he gets in. And I think he still has time to do so.
I don't think Joe runs. I really don't. I don't think so. I think he wants to be so far away from this party right now because it's a disaster and he knows it, that he doesn't want to put his name on it. I think they're beating down his door to do it because there's nobody else eligible.
And that's why I think he might do it. Plus, his son, before he died, wanted him to run.
I think Joe's tired. I think
he's tired, absolutely.
I don't think he wants to deal with it anymore. I think he's out. I really do. I don't think he's in. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Hillary run, but you already have 60% of the people in the latest poll say that they find that she completely lied about Benghazi.
Yeah.
I don't think that she will survive long enough. I think she's going to be indicted before the trial, before the general election. I truly do. And that's why the conservatives need to get their thumbs out of their asses and start getting things in order and start putting up real conservative candidates, because as long as you have a real conservative candidate who is a statesman, I think they're going to win.
I hope they're going to win. Bernie Sanders scares me.
Oh, yeah.
He is a self-avowed socialist.
Yes.
He's not as crazy on gun laws.
which is weird.
Which is completely weird. But he is so anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
He describes
Well,
himself
that's why
as
he
a
doesn't
socialist.
need to be against guns, right? Because if you can control the gun industry, you can control the guns, so you don't need to make all these different gun laws. You can do it through anti-capitalism changes.
Yeah, you do it through regulation and all that other stuff. So the Democratic field scares me. What if this investigation doesn't wrap up before the elections and Hillary gets elected?
I think at that point she's going to be so tarnished it won't matter. I think that...
But how many people in this country buy the narrative that it's politics that form, especially with McCarthy's
I still don't think. I think
remarks?
if you look at the polls right now, people... None of that matters. People's opinions is that she's a liar.
They are, but why is she still so far up in the polls? And you know as well as I do that a lot of people just look at that D or the R.
First of all, right, but that's not enough to decide the fate. I also don't think that I don't think polls are as accurate enough to really say that she's that far up.
It's plus or minus 5%.
Yeah, against a socialist. Now, Hillary drops out, and I hate to say it, but a lot of the older Democrats are gone too. Sanders is a young candidate. He's a young Democrat. He's a progressive socialist young Democrat candidate. Yeah, he's going to get some of the hippies and stuff like that. But I think the older Democrats don't want him. I think that you'll see, what's his name there, Martin O'Malley, who's thrown his name around. He came out today
What's
saying...
he got, 1%?
Yeah. He came out today saying that he's a real candidate and he deserves more attention, something like that. Vermin Supreme, I hope he gets up there too. The rent is too damn high guy, I hope he jumps in too. But, you're going to see, I think you're going to see O'Malley try to make a big push and fizzle out, and I think you're going to see de Blasio at some point. De Blasio is realizing very quickly that his politics in New York are such that if he doesn't try to make that jump soon, he is going to be destroyed in the future because New York is falling apart while he is at the helm. And he can't let the damage get so bad that he is no longer electable. That's my kind of sum up. I think the Dems are done. It's the Conservatives' job to not shoot themselves in the foot.
Here's my take on it. I don't think Biden is necessarily out. I disagree with you there. Like I said, I think he looked at Clinton's debate. I think that's going to certainly weigh in. However, I also think he's looking at her longevity in terms of potential charges that may be brought against her, her ability to win the election, and whatnot. And I think if he gets in, I think that would be the deciding factor that does it. So I don't think he's made up his mind that he's out yet. He may not jump in, but I don't think it's a done deal. I think you're right on Hillary. I don't think that she would get she may get the nomination, but I don't think she would win in the general election. Sanders kind of scares me.
What if she gets the nomination and literally at the nomination at the convention as she's accepting the nomination, they come in and arrest her?
And that's the thing.
So awesome.
how do the Democrats keep her in? I mean, I guess they have nobody else, which is why they're beating down the door for Biden. But how do they keep her in? What happens if she gets the nomination and, like you said, she gets
indicted? Well, listen, and we just saw something out of Sacramento again. I was talking about Kevin Johnson earlier, and I've seen something that I haven't seen before, and I'm sure it happened and I just missed it. But the head of the California Democrats essentially is calling for Johnson not to seek re-election and resign, based on allegations of sexual molestation from when he was a basketball player in Arizona. There's also been other cases that have been alleged while he was mayor. And it's catching heat really bad. CNN just did a huge thing on it. They had the girl's tape from the police interview, all this other stuff. And if you watch the tape, I understand that when you're in a certain profession, you're always going to have wingnuts saying something, right? You're always going to have allegations that aren't true. I think once you start to get to 5 or 6 allegations, I think where there's smoke, there's some fire, right? And he's up to about 5 or 6, including this specific one when he was young, and it's pretty graphic. Like, she goes into a lot of detail. And she was a young girl at the time going into a lot of very specific detail on the audio, on the video recording. But to have the Democrats say, yeah, you know what, I know you carry a lot of heat right now, and everyone who's not paying attention loves you, whatever, but it might be time for you to go. I think that says a lot, and you could see that when it comes to Hillary at some point. They could say to her, hey, you're destroying this for us. And we have no chance as long as you're running. It may be time for you to step out.
They could, but they don't have anybody else who I think could win it.
Yeah,
So they may be
put up the potential criminal?
they may be hoping that there's not going to be any kind of indictment and that she sticks with it.
Maybe.
Right?
Hope isn't a battle strategy.
It's not, but if that's all you got, that's all you got. I want to talk about a case out of British Columbia real quick because I know we're running low on time.
Hammer attack.
Yeah. Look, hammers need to be outlawed.
Hammers need to be outlawed greatly.
Now, the good thing is this wasn't gun violence, so this isn't going to ding anybody on gun violence. But I want to know where the outcry is to stop hammers. This individual...
And I know somebody lost their life, and I'm really, really...
No, the suspect did.
No,
the 10 people that were injured, some were critical, but I don't think anybody's died yet. Except the suspect.
Right,
but there were some critical injuries. He showed up into a government office in British Columbia with a hammer. So there's not...
Carpenters are now gang members?
There's not going to be any kind of major attack because guns are so hard to get there, right?
10 people.
We might want to take notice of this.
10 people.
Yes, with a hammer.
With a hammer. Now, you could have 10 people dead. It's possible to be bludgeoned to death and shot by a hammer.
Oh, yeah.
I just want people to completely understand that. So, it's frightening to think... I wish I could play the show with that.
Nasty Nick just showed us an MC Hammer video of MC Hammer. Does that mean he's going to be outlawed now in Canada? Like,
right,
you can't listen to his music? Right, because
he's
it's
still
violent.
touring. It's hammer time all the time. But you had 10 people, and there was a long response from law enforcement, as we have with a lot of the school districts and stuff like that in the more rural areas. Yeah, you know, as well as I do. These attacks happen whether it's a gun or not. We talk about China with the knife attacks that happens on a regular basis. I mean, listen, what was it, in England a couple years ago where the
terrorists
hacked up
edged weapon attacks.
Yeah, and killed a British military member in broad daylight in front of hundreds of people, and nobody did anything. And then did a cell phone interview with the kid, covered in blood. He still had the guy's blood all over him, machete in his hand, before the cops even got there.
And this is why the whole gun argument and the stop gun violence things drives me nuts, because the goal, like we've said before on the show, is to stop violence
in general,
not just gun violence.
Right.
And we're seeing that trend here in the U.S. where more edged weapons and other weapons are being used in attacks, not just guns.
It's frightening. It's frightening. And things like this was a buried story, just like the Chinese knife attacks were. And really, a lot of these edged weapon attacks, explosions. How many places do we see explosions all over being used as a weapon in places where guns aren't regularly accessible? Right? So, as I've said a million times...
So wait, you're saying that if you stop and get rid of guns, that violence is still going to happen?
Well, yeah.
So you're saying it's a human condition, not a gun condition?
Well, yes. And it's only a matter of time.
You're crazy.
I say it all the time. You can blink your eyes and destroy all guns on this planet tomorrow. And
there would still be violence in mass
Well,
attacks.
and with a week, somebody would make one at home. And they'd find a way.
No, because you made them all disappear, Sean.
I had a conversation with people.
Just make murder illegal.
What? I think it's on the... I think they're trying.
Well, then how's it still happen?
No. I don't think they've passed... They couldn't have
they haven't passed it yet. Okay.
Chicago certainly doesn't have a homicide, or Illinois certainly doesn't have a homicide
law.
No, that doesn't happen. You know, I had the conversation today that sadly it's human nature to survive. Some of that survival is done in people's minds by killing other people. There are those of us who don't do it, and there are those of us that do it. But reality is people have been killing other people long before guns existed. They would do so long after guns go away. They will find, sadly, new and exciting ways to commit homicide, but they will still do it nonetheless. Did
you just say new and exciting ways?
Yes. Or maybe old and medieval would come back. You know, like people would have Iron Maidens again in their house and stuff.
And not the albums.
Not the albums.
Right.
If you want to have the album, it's not.
I think some people have Iron Maidens anyways, but they use them for something totally different.
Totally different.
Right.
And they're not spikes in there.
Of sorts.
Well,
of sorts. You can impale yourself on
they'll
them.
give you a little prick.
Right.
If you're not careful.
And maybe you don't want to be careful. Is that blood all over? No, that's lube. I found red. I dyed my lube red.
Yeah.
It's for effect.
It's just weird.
Just get in.
Just get in.
But Sacco, I don't want to.
Shut up, Clint. You owe me for all those. All right, fine.
Fine. I swore I'd never do this again.
This is why I love our listeners. So we mentioned medieval ways of death, and somebody immediately comes up with one of the, like, so we brought up Iron Maiden, of course, we're a little sick. Without missing a beat, Agador, I prefer the Man of War. What are some other great old medieval ways to die? We've talked about this on the past of the show.
The Man of War.
The Man of War.
Where do you get that? At adamandeve.com? Like, I don't...
No.
I think I've seen that one.
Think medieval torture device.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something different.
It's just, that's our listeners. Oh, we know how to kill people. It is not a problem for us. There's another one, too, I saw. I'd never seen this. Somebody did like a list of ways that countries through the years have executed people. And there's one of them, I don't know the name, where it's a chair. You sit down, like an electric chair almost. But there is a bolt, a long bolt behind your neck with a corkscrew. And they chain your neck back, and they just keep twisting the bolt until it's done. And I immediately said, who the hell thought of that? You have sharp edge weapons. You have a bunch of things that you could do, right? Who was like, hey, I want to be the bolt through the back of the head guy. That's what I want my legacy to be. Even the guillotine makes sense. It's quick, it's easy, especially for like public executions where you're like, hey, don't do this or this will happen. It makes sense. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it makes sense. Who is the bolt to the back of the neck, dude?
Well, how about this one? The tub. The tub.
Don't Google this.
The person would sit in a wooden tub with only their head sticking out. The executioner would put milk and honey on their faces.
Yes.
And flies would feed on them.
Yes.
And the victim was then regularly fed and would end up swimming in their own excrement. After a few days, maggots and worms would devour their body and decay them alive.
Yes. That's a good one. There's another one, too. I believe it was Egyptian, and I want to say it was like the lion or the donkey. It was the bull. Where it was a cast iron or brass bull.
Yes.
They set up the horns.
Brazen bull.
The brazen bull. They set up the horns to whistle appropriately like a bull, and what they do is they'd stuff you in there and cook you, and eventually the steam would come out and make the bull, what you used to ride bulls. What was it when they snort or whatever, make the noise, or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Either way, it's just, who thinks of these things?
What about the heretic's fork?
Yes, I've seen the heretic's fork.
Right, it's the prongs on the neck and on the sternum, suspended by a belt or a strap, and they'd hang the person to secure the neck to the tool, and they hang them from the ceiling and suspend them so they couldn't sleep. And as soon as their head dropped, the prongs pierce their throat and their chest.
Yeah, isn't that just lovely?
Yeah.
So when we talk about monsters with guns, people thought about all this stuff, and it was used regularly, some of which as early as the first part of this century. And these were like state-sanctioned ways to kill people.
Oh, yeah.
So, I always talk about, like, this sort of thing. Somebody else was mentioned slavery, and was talking about slavery and the same thing. I'm like, you realize we were one of the first countries to outright ban slavery throughout the world. There are some countries now where slavery is still perfectly acceptable. At the time in the world, slavery was acceptable all over the world.
Right.
One group went to another place to get its people and bring it back and be slaves, and then that group from the second place would do the same thing. It happened all over the place. So there are things that it just happens. But when you come to violence, people are always going to come and find ways to kill people, much like the brazen bull. Who thought of that? What sick son of a bitch thought of that?
And who gets that job?
And who goes along with it? Right. I went to a whole room full of people who are like, yeah, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, that sounds good. You should do it.
Can we do it right now?
Right.
I'll build a fire. Let's go.
Who's going to build the bull?
Yeah, I don't know, but let's hurry because we need this to happen ASAP.
We got some information we need to get.
This is absolutely insane. Folks, that's it here for the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. We will be back next Wednesday at 11 on the East Coast. Nope. Yeah, 11 on the East Coast, 8 on the West Coast. I actually will not be. I have a previous event that I am absolutely...
You'll be here on the phone.
I will be here in spirit.
And in spirit.
And telephonically.
Right, telephonically in spirit.
Make sure you check out all the other great shows on the SHR Media Network. PunditPress.com. Make sure you check him out, the exceptional conservative himself. Make sure you check out our good friend, the Unpleasant Blind Guy, Agador, Jersey Joe, and all the awesome folks we have here on the network. We will see you next week. Good night.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk. Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint.